First, sometimes the political PR machine behind a Prime Minister plays a bigger, louder, more influential game than the politician him or herself. And I think after 100 days of the Albanese government, no matter what the Prime Minister says about his achievements, no matter how much he floods the media, you can't fool the mob with clever lines or well-placed interviews. The fact is he has done absolutely zero about the issues Australians say are the biggest concerns right now, cost of living and inflation. But that hasn't stopped Albo celebrating 100 wonderful days. He has been everywhere, and it's undeniably deliberate. He's telling us late last week how successful his job summit has been, even 7 days out from the event.
Already, I regard it as a success. The fact that you're all here and we're talking about jobs and skills is part of the process of what we are doing here.
That is a line straight out of the Labor PR handbook. A job summit can be a success a week away because you're discussing the summit? Come on. Talk about spin. Then, of course, on Saturday night, he takes the media with him to the footy, which ended in a lengthy and supremely positive piece in the Telegraph about his love for the Rabbitohs. The 100-day PR campaign is working a treat. But wait, there's more. He was back the next night, right here on Sky News, with my colleague Erin Molan, sharing his personal views about 100 days and a very tough job, about his relationship and the future.
I think in the first 100 days, all you can do really is you can set a tone for what's the narrative of this government. And I want a government that governs. I want a government that's competent. I want the gender pay gap to be closed. I want to see more women in positions of power and authority, more equality. I want Indigenous Australians to be recognised in our nation's birth certificate is an important step forward. And I want people to feel respected regardless of their gender, their religion, who they are.
What kind of a boyfriend are you?
Oh, I don't know, that's a question for her. It's still a relatively new relationship. We've got a really good friendship as well as a personal relationship, and I think that's really important.
In an interview like that, Albo can only come up with a long list of platitudes because he's done nothing about the most important things that concern us. And then he gets prime space at the National Press Club today to mark, yes, those 100 days.
From the moment we were sworn in, we've been working to clear away the mess and chaos of a government who dealt in short-term political stitch-ups, not long-term solutions.
And then he spoke about what Labor has done. And I just tuned in. I thought, how is he going to come up with a list of what they've done? He said he was restoring security to the national energy grid. Well, that's funny, considering the energy regulator only yesterday expressed fears that the grid was facing a new phase of blackouts. Albo highlighted the delivery of support to flood-affected communities. That's what all governments are expected to do, isn't it? He said he implemented the strongest ever biosecurity measures to protect our agricultural sector from foot and mouth disease. Yeah, he did that. He was forced to do that, and they did it at a snail's pace. Come on. He said he backed a pay rise for workers on the minimum wage, which of course all economists know adds upward pressure on inflation. He said he lifted our climate change ambition. We will just see how astronomical the costs are to do that. And he rebuilt Australia's reputation in the region and in international relations. That I will give him. Anyone who travels to the number of nations Albo did in the first 6 weeks of his prime ministership as a de facto foreign minister, well, you can't help but improve international relations. Big tick for that. As for the upcoming job summit, the one that's already successful, Albo's PR machine has already come up with a line to use when nothing much changes at all after the summit, especially to the things that really matter in our lives currently. Be prepared to hear this one a number of times next week.
I know that when we wrap up on Friday afternoon, there will still be $1 trillion of debt. Australian families will still be struggling with the cost of living pressures. Businesses, big and small, will still need help with staff and skills. But for the first time in a long time, I believe we will be moving to agreement on how to solve these problems.
So there it is. When the job summit's over, none of the big ticket issues will change. So he's already covering his bum from any criticism that comes his way next week. And by the way, to say that the summit's agreements will solve those crucial problems is not logical. This is not a summit which will do much at all about the cost of living pressures we face or inflation. So by Friday night, it'll be status unchanged.